similar to our work with integers, I'm going to describe kind of the idea behind the calculations, but really, at this point in our learning, we're really going to focus on using the calculator to help us out. But fractions are going to be very helpful, especially when we talk about calculations with probability, and then also simplifying those fractions down. So in terms of what a fraction is, it's a portion of a whole. And actually, it can go beyond a whole, but like if we have the fraction 3/4, the idea is that whatever represents a whole, whether it's a rectangle or a circle, we're dividing that into 4 pieces. So if it was a rectangle, we would divide it by 4 evenly. If it's a circle, we would divide it by 4 evenly. And then the idea of 3/4 is that we have 3 of those 4 pieces, whether it looks like that or whether it looks like this. So whatever we have, whole is made up of 4 things, and we have 3 of them. So the numerator describes how many pieces we have, and then 4 describes how we're dividing up that piece of the whole. Now, with different denominators, we get different fractions out, and I just like this visual here of showing like across from 0 to 1, that's where a half is landing, that's where a third is landing, a fourth, a fifth, just so you can get an idea of the comparisons of if we have just one piece for each of those, how we're dividing up the whole, like the denominator piece, 2 versus 3 versus 4 versus 5, how that one piece gets smaller and smaller with the more pieces of the whole that we divide up. So, okay, so from there, let's talk about reducing fractions. Now, the idea behind reducing fractions is dividing something out of the numerator and the denominator, and it has to be the same value. So often we go through and think about what's this greatest common factor, this number that would divide both into the numerator and denominator. So like 15/24, looks like I can take 3 out of each of those, which would give us a 5/8. And then I would just kind of double check, like, is that completely reduced? And it looks like it is. Now, how the calculator will support us. I'm going to go to our Desmos scientific calculator, and I'm going to type in 15 divided by 24. And what you'll see is that right now it's giving me a decimal. It's telling me 0.625, which is absolutely correct. And sometimes we will need the decimal for our values. But let's say I was really interested in the reduced fraction of this. Right next to the decimal value, you can see this convert to fraction button. And if we click that, it's going to give us the reduced form of our fraction. And there's our 5/8. So for this next example, like 28/36, let's say we just want the calculator to do the work for us, then I would go and type in 28/36, which gives me this big old decimal, but I'm going to convert to fraction and see that that's equivalent to 7/9. And if I just wanted to double check, I could see if I divided out 4 from both the numerator and denominator, that's exactly what we would get out. All right, 30/150. Again, I'm just going to throw that into the calculator. Did I read that correctly? 30/1500. And we're seeing a 0.02, but convert to fraction, 1/50. All right, so that's how we're going to get our reduced fractions. Here is that in the calculator, we'll type in our unreduced fraction and have it reduce it for us. Okay, calculations, multiplication, division, addition. This we're going to be doing with the calculator. And in fact, if you want to go through and just pause the video here and try these out for yourself with the Desmos Scientific Calculator, you're more than welcome to. But I'm just going to start going through these solutions here. And again, I'm going to rely on the calculator, but I'll also tell you how we're doing the calculations. So with multiplication, you're multiplying across the numerator and across the denominator. So 1 times 2 is 2, 5 times 7 is 35, and then we would just see if we could reduce it down, which We can't, so that's it. But we could check with the calculator. So 1 over 5 times 2 over 7. And again, it's showing a decimal here, but sometimes we are going to need fractions, and fractions will keep things more accurate as well. So I'd want to keep that as 2 over 35 for my calculation so that it stays accurate and we're not rounding too early. Okay. If you have a whole number, that's like it's over a 1. So this would be the same as 5 times 2 in the numerator over 1 times 7, which is 7. Nothing to reduce there, so that would be done. 1 times 9, 3 times 143, which is 129. And then that's going to be able to reduce down actually. So with these next two, let's go to the calculator and have it help us out. So that first one, 1 over 3 times 9 over 43, messy decimal, but convert to fraction, 3 over 43. All right. And then 3 times 9 over 43 should be a 27 over 43. All right. So that's our multiplication. Really, you're just multiplying across numerator, across denominator. That's how we plug it into the calculator. Okay, these are going to look a little different in the calculator. In fact, it's most often going to look like this at the end here with that 4 over 7 and then over 7 over 3. But let's talk about these. So division in a calculator often shows up as a slash. So it's like there's this big slash between 8 over 11 and 24 over 77. Now, the rule with division of if we had to do this by hand is keep, change, flip. Meaning, whenever we have division, we can change it to multiplication. So we would keep the first value, change to multiplication, flip, meaning switch the numerator and denominator. So those two calculations are the same thing. In fact, I'll show you that in the calculator. So what I would do is I have 8 over 11, and then what I'm going to do is actually select the division symbol right here. And what you can see is it just put that 8 over 11 in the numerator there. And then I'm going to type in 24 over 77. So this format here, where it's these stacked fractions, is the same as what we have right there. So that right there is 7/3. And just to show you how it matches the keep, change, flip, so changing it to multiplication, so 8 over 11 times 77 over 24 is 7/3 as well. So you can write it in either format. If you do multiplication, just make sure you're flipping that second fraction that we're working with. Okay, so let's look at these in the calculator. So 8/3 divided by 4/9 is 6. Actually, let's kind of check that out. 8/3 times 9/4. So 8 times 9 is 72. Divided by 3 times 4 is 12. And 12 times 6 is 12 times 6 is 72. So we get that 6 out. Cool. All right. 90 over 55 divided by 9/5 is a 10/11. And this last one is in a format that's going to match the calculator with this 4/7 divided by 7/3, which is 12/49. All right. So, and if you had this 4/7 divided by 7/3. You could write it this way in kind of a horizontal format. And then we could change it to 4/7 times 3/7. So there you can see 4 times 3 is 12. 7 times 7 is 49. So you can kind of check your answer with that. Okay, with addition subtraction, when you have a common denominator, it's just a matter of adding the numerator. So in this case, 101 plus 3, which is 104. And then the denominator stays the same. And then we would just simplify, so that would be a 52. So 101 over 2 plus 3 halves, you would add 101 plus 3, and then you just keep that denominator of 2 and simplify. So with this one, 1/3 plus 11/3, so 1 plus 11 is 12, divided by 3, and that would be 4. 10/11 minus 8/11, so we would do 10 minus 8 in the numerator, so that would be 2, and then keep that common denominator of 11. All right, and 2 minus 5, so that's a -3 over 6, which is a -1/2. And we could have put those into the calculator as well, but with the common denominators, it's kind of nice to combine. Now with uncommon denominators, so like this 3/8 plus 1 over 20, we can't do that kind of quick combination. All sorts of methods out there for how to do this, and if you want to know how to do it by hand, I'll leave that up to you, but we're just going to rely on the calculator here. So 3/8 plus 1 over 20, and we get our decimal, but convert to fraction, so that would be 17/40. 17 over 40. Let's see, 3/4 minus 5/6 is going to be a -1/12. All right. 8 over 15 minus 2/5, and then convert to fractions, so that's going to be 2/15. And let's see, 2 more here. Just plugging in the calculator and having it do the work for us. So 9/10 minus 1/6. And that is 11/15. And then this last one, 3/5 plus 1/6. And convert to fraction for 23/30. Okay, so a lot of calculator work there, but that's okay for us. A calculator is a skill too. And then with some of these, we have some intuition so that we could check our work if we needed to.